Russ McDonough, and I'm a retired family and consumer science teacher and a lover of desserts. Last night I was at my sister-in-law Sherry's house and we had a potluck dinner, and for dessert they bought out this thing called Treatza pizza, and it had a crumb bottom that was kind of chunky, and it was made out of Oreos, and then there was softened ice cream on top of it, and then way too much sugar on top of that. I think Patrick put on M&Ms and maybe Reese's Peanuts, and I have no idea what all was on it. So Brooke and I got to talking about, well, what do we like about it? What do we like about Dairy Queens? We love the fudge part on the Dairy Queens. Who doesn't? So we started recipe hopping, and we've come up with a recipe that we don't know if it's going to work. We're going to experiment. Brooke said, you want to film it? And I said, sure, we'll invite you along for the ride. So I started out with my food processor, and I found one recipe that said use 25 cookies. Well, if I use 25 cookies, that means there's none for me to actually eat a piece or two of. So I needed to only use 24 cookies. And then it said use fudge. I don't actually have fudge, but I have chocolate syrup. So that's what we're using. So I've started already crunching this out because it might even be louder than my KitchenAid. I'm not sure, but I threw it in my food processor. I've crumbed it up really nicely, and I'm going to pour this on top of it because, well, there's no such thing as too much chocolate. And if there is, I'm sorry for your luck. All right, I'm going to turn this back on, and you're going to listen to it for a second. Okay, it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. The recipe said mix it up until it starts to come together in a ball. So give me another few seconds. I think it looks pretty good. I hope it is. All right, so not sure how this is going to all come out. Man, it's creamy looking. If you're an Oreo cookie fan, you would just be salivating right now. In fact, I think I might be salivating. I can't tell for sure, but oh. And you know me and my rubber scraper, I have to use this to get out every little piece of this. See if I can scrape this off, and I know I'm going to have to use some wax paper to try to press this out. Then after that, I'm going to put some ice cream on top of it. So again, we're playing with a couple recipes that we're adding together. One of them was by somebody called Ashley Fair, I think it was. And honestly, I'm sorry, it was Dairy Queen Copycat, and I don't remember who it was the next one, but she was from Canada. That's all I can remember. I'll see if I can find it, and we'll put that in the credits later. All right, I'm going to take my wax paper, and I'm going to flatten this out, and then I'm going to get my ice cream, and when we pick up, I'll be moving my ice cream on top of it. Wanted to use a little bit of a topping, so we started adding recipes together again. So it said use a half of a cup of whipping cream. I have some whipping cream in there, but that's not what I decided to use. I decided to use ice cream because, you know, it's ice cream. We're going to make our fudge layer. So we're going to put some ice cream, and then we're going to put a fudge layer, and then I'm going to layer it out with some more ice cream and put some other things on top of it. So I took this, and it says to use some corn syrup, and the reason it said to use corn syrup is that corn syrup helps it not to get so hard that you can't even bite through it. It keeps it a little bit smoother. So again, I'm playing with the recipe, so I came up with 1/4 of a cup. It said 3 tablespoons, but I'm adding more chocolate chips, so I went to 1/4 of a cup. And I'm not going to use chocolate chips because chocolate and peanut butter are fantastic together. So I'm using a package of peanut butter chips instead. And I'm going to put in a splash of vanilla. A splash would be, I don't know, about a teaspoon of vanilla. So I've got 1/2 of a cup of milk, about 1/2 of a teaspoon of vanilla I'm going to put in, a 10-ounce package of peanut butter chips, and then 1/4 of a cup of the corn syrup. And I'm going to mix this up and melt it in the microwave. So I'll put it on low. I don't know how long I'll actually put it on. Maybe 45 seconds on low, just until it starts to melt through. We'll come back together again once I've got this spread out. I pull the ice cream out of the freezer because I softened it, but I then measured it out, and I'm just freezing it up again until I'm ready to go with everything. All right, see you in a blink. So because we're experimenting, I'm experimenting. So this ice cream over here, which would be on your left, my right, was in the freezer longer. This was pulled out to get to soft serve stage because I wanted to say to see what was going to be easier to work with. And honestly, the soft serve stage is a whole lot easier to work with than the others. But of course, it's ice cream, it's going to freeze back up again. If you are making your own homemade ice cream, it's not going to freeze up the same. This is when you have to use the ice cream that's store-bought that has all the other ingredients in. All right, the soft serve, I will say you got to work with it a little bit faster because I'm already seeing that it's starting to melt out. It's okay. This will be fine. I'm going to smooth this out the best I can. Then I have my other topping, which I know is going to drop down on here. And I tried pulling it to see what would happen. Pulling it, meaning I put ice cream down and I dropped some on top of it, and it's staying over top of it, which is what I wanted it to do, not go in. So I might not use all of this. The directions originally might have been right, because remember, it was I said I was using more. So maybe I only needed to have a half of a package, like 5 ounces of the peanut butter. And I might not have used the milk if I would have been doing this originally. But again, I'm experimenting. I'm trying it out to see. We tasted this with the corn syrup on it. Well, it is just absolutely delicious. There's just no two ways about it. It's, I can't go wrong with that. So because it's so good, and it's peanut butter, and we love peanut butter and chocolate together, as we were working here and we're talking, we started saying, what else do we like? Well, we like just about everything, which is the problem, but we like pretzels. So I've already taken some pretzels and I've pounded them that I'm going to be able to put on top of them. What else do we like? Well, we're experimenting. So of course I got the M&Ms, which was the plan all along. I also got graham crackers, and I'm going to break those up, and I'm not going to put it all together. I'm going to do some lines of it, and that way I'll get an idea. Well, what one did we like better? This is melting in here pretty fast. This might not work, or as Brooke said, swirl it in, because you can't go wrong. It'll taste delicious. I can feel it. It's hardening back up already. Maybe I should have froze my ice cream. But again, I'm experimenting, so I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. Well, I mean, I have some idea what I'm doing, but you know what I mean. This is how I cook. Sometimes I take recipes and I just start playing with them. Let me see. If I pour this back on top of here, the idea is that peanut butter is going to be in between. But I'm going to put all my topping on now because I want my topping to freeze into it. So for sure, I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to run it down to my deep freeze and put it in my deep freeze. And, oh, I don't know, probably in like 2 hours or so, I'm going to pull it out. And then you're going to see the finished and say, we'll put a little barb in. Did we like it? We didn't like it? Whatever. I have the graham crackers. I got to eyeball this up. About how much do you suppose is half? I'm going to say maybe half. Brooke said when we started putting this together, it reminded her of dirt. Have you all had dirt? I don't like gummy worms, so I never made dirt all that often because everybody I knew thought that the gummy worms was the best part of it, and I think they're weird. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be like, you know, trademark infringement and making anybody mad about it, but I don't find them to be, they're weird, they're chewy, they're gummy. They're gummy! Oh my gosh, they're gummy worms. Oh my. Alright, sorry, I'm just self-entertained. That's how it goes. Alright, so I've put those down, and then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to put down the pretzels. Heaven forbid that I wouldn't just put the pretzels down right on top of it, but I'm going to make my color scheme, because if I'm going to do this, let's make it look pretty. Oh, I should have said that these are those pretzel, oh, what are they called?
Pretzel thins.
Pretzel thins that I used. Cole got some the other day. We were using it for a dip, and there was a few left in there, and that's why I decided to use those. I love pretzels. I can eat pretzels all the time. Once when I was a kid, for Lent, I gave up pretzels. Oh my goodness. Easter came, my mom had a big bag of pretzels in my Easter basket, and that was what I ate. Forget about the candy. I just wanted pretzels. Love the salt. All right, that's probably enough, and I don't think I made a very good line, but oh my gosh, you know me and how I have to try to be perfect and make it not look so bad. All right, good. And then let's get some M&Ms on here because I've got to get these M&Ms eaten from my house. Because if not, I'm just going to keep eating them. Hey, do you eat your M&Ms weird? Yes? No? Don't know what I'm talking about? So what I do is I take a handful of M&Ms. And then I have to divide them up in red, white, blue, red, white, blue, red, white, blue. Or if I'm using regular M&Ms, I have to do all the colors. Whatever color I have the least of, that's the ones I eat first. When I do the red, white, blues, then I match up, let's say I have red and whites, red and white, and now I just have a few blues left. Yeah, I have to eat those. I know, so weird. I have no idea. Oh my gosh, look at the problem.
Are they sinking?
They're sinking. How wild. Was not expecting that at all. Wow. Okay. So now it just looks like a little bit of color in there, and I know that they're in there, but nobody else. It's going to be a surprise. And my recipe that I was looking at was saying maybe 2/3 of a cup for the whole thing. I have no idea how many I've done. That's really interesting. All right, so maybe if I would have frozen it, they wouldn't have sunk. I don't know. But like I said, we're going to throw this in the deep freeze. Love to just put it in my freezer up here, but you know, I have a side-by-side, and I will never advocate for that. If anybody knows of a French refrigerator that you can put in to win one, you let me know, because I'm going to be putting my money in to win one of those. That's what I desperately want. My area is small. I only have like 34 inches, so it's harder to find that refrigerator, but that's what I want. All right, sorry, that's just me being weird. So this is going to go in the freezer. Later on, I'm going to pull it out, and then you'll get to see what the ending looks like. But between now and then, let's pull some names. Hey, Whitney Illingworth. She is a mother of a singleton and triplets. Yes, triplets, can you imagine? But her kids are all grown up like mine are. Thanks. I always appreciate Whitney when you say things. Very easy for me to talk, right? Francis Mako. You know, Frankie, I don't know how to say your last name. I never thought about that. Frankie is from Ohio, and she goes to the University of Toledo. Thanks, Frankie, for being a subscriber. All right, the rest of you, go tell somebody to subscribe. I'm only at like 103. Apparently, I'm supposed to be going for 1,000. I don't even know if I know 1,000 people. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day. We're going to enjoy this for dessert later on, and you'll get to see a picture. Thank you so much. Like me, subscribe. Your friends, you probably already subscribed. Tell your friends, and don't forget to leave some comments, especially if you try any of my weird stuff. Thanks, have a good day. So most of this has gotten eaten, but I wanted to come back and just finish up with a few things that we've decided. It was so fun because we did long, skinny strips and gave everybody a taste of it and said, what do you think? We're experimenting. What's the decision? If you can look, after we had this in here for a while, the crumb, the bottom part that was made out of the cookie crumbs and the sauce, the chocolate sauce, absolutely delicious. Do not skimp on that. Don't forget to do that. But because of the melted, the softened ice cream, the peanut butter sort of sunk down, and it's the next layer almost everywhere. I would suggest, if I were doing it again and I had time, I would put the ice cream in, stop, wait about an hour or so, and then put the cooled peanut butter on top of it. If you don't have time to do that, skip the peanut butter. But I have to tell you, the peanut butter is really good. It's a little bit chewy, but it's not hard. It's not rock hard. It's not like taffy, but it's more like a soft caramel almost. It's very good. Graham crackers, they were fine. Not a problem at all. Pretzels, once they got cold, they were kind of stale tasting. So they tasted like pretzels, but they didn't have a good crunch. The M&Ms were the best, but the chunks of M&Ms, they were all right. Definitely take the time, put your M&Ms in a Ziploc bag and crunch them up, whether you're going to use your meat mallet or you're going to use a can or whatever it is. But definitely get those smaller and then put those over top of it. That part was just absolutely delicious. The other thing you could possibly do is just finish the top off with some chocolate sauce if you wanted to and just swirl it through. But this recipe it's a keeper. I just want to make some changes. You try it out yourself. Do whatever you want. You can always put them into little cups if you wanted to, like your muffin tins, and then pop them out afterwards, and then let everybody decide what they like. But I'm telling you, doing it just this way, it's a keeper for us. So I hope that you make it, and I hope you enjoy it.